how will VR shape the world when it comes to education? And basically, we would like to hear your thoughts on this. I want to try cover 3 today, but if we only get through 2, then the real controversial topic for VR will be next week. And just like we said, social and moral dilemmas once every 2 weeks. Oh, my brain, we are having it every week. It's a passion. So let's start off with, and Ali will help with the megaphone so everybody can hear each other. It looks like Mel. Mel is on the left side, so you have the opportunity to speak or pass. What are your thoughts about education in VR?
Right now, I don't have an opinion on it. I'm just checking out what you guys are doing here. I appreciate for you letting me be here, and I'm good. Thank you. I'll
Pleasure.
pass.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here.
And stick around, enjoy the event. Let's go to Aziz, who doesn't know how to pass. We just got a lot of people to go through, so give us a second.
Yay,
Hi,
finally I got to this event. Yes, hello guys.
Hello.
It's my first time on All Web Rain. Yes, I visit the moral dilemmas and social dilemmas. This is the best question, my favorite actually. First of all, I want to think that I'm part of education, and I dream about the new form of education where it's going to be something more than just accumulating knowledge. It's something that should combine emotional intelligence, the spirit, the identity, all those things. And I believe that VR can be a very good key to that. Actually, this is one of the ideas that I have. I would like to try something like this, like using the VR and the sensual, because it, how do I say it? It occupies all your sensory inputs. It's a very good thing that we could use to live through some lives, or even use it for psychological traumas and then development within the VR space. So there are millions of ideas that I have for education actually, but I actually dashed into this the beginning of the sofa, so maybe I could leave something for others to speak. Thanks.
Thank you, Dylan.
Well, it's interesting you bring up this topic because there's an event on Altspace called Educators in VR, and it's interesting because they have professors and different people discussing it in a panel. And one of the questions I had for the professor is that, you know, this is much more efficient than Zoom because you feel like you're sitting in a classroom, but the tuitions would obviously drop in this with this technology. And he said, well, you know, I still have to do the same amount of work. And I said, yeah, but when tuitions drop, because it's essentially like a lecture on YouTube, how do you make money? And another professor said, well, you'll have the advent of, you know, superstar professors, you know, celebrity professors like Michio Kaku, where a lot of people will pay to attend that event. And but I think, you know, once people figure out what this is going to replace Zoom, especially when Apple comes out with their headset next year. But I think the best thing about this is that the price of education will drop, because in some countries like in England and the US, people take out loans worth hundred thousands of dollars to go to school. And now you have this issue in the United States where certain students that go to Harvard and that go to elite private schools, they're saying, why the hell am I paying $50,000 to have a class on Zoom when I'm not getting the full experience?
Okay, thank you, Dylan.
Good point there, but I just want to add, from a teacher's point of view, as long as there is interaction between the student and the professor, the teacher, or the tutor, the lesson is still a lesson. It's not so lecture-based anymore, or just like watching a YouTube video. And VR does have interaction abilities, so that's why I believe tuition shouldn't fall. Maybe to a small degree, but not to the degree that everybody is expecting it to.
And it is improving. If you think about it, it is improving in many ways for interaction in VR. You know, Keegan and the owners of Altspace are working on interaction even more. And as we improve with controllers and with our hands, we'll be able to use many forms of ways to do that. So online lectures will be able to be simulated environments to help with memory retention, virtual tours. But the most important thing, as Norway was saying, is that you'll be able to incorporate all of your senses inside VR. And the most important thing with memory retention are the main senses. If you can hear it, if you can, see it, if you can feel it, you have 3 forms of reinforcements for you to remember even more. For those who've just joined us, Noel?
I just wanted to say really quick, he said that it would be feasible to have 1,000 students and keeping tuitions low. And I said, how do you grade papers like that? He said, well, we would use AI mechanisms.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
That's amazing.
To have teachers still ticking off the same type of questions and answers is still in a way archaic compared to what is potential out there, where you can have AI machines that have assimilated and accumulated tons of data and information, and they pick up, what is right and wrong, especially for rudimental type education, where there is a yes or no type answer. But now, before I continue, like I said, welcome to Oh My Brain for those who've just joined. And basically, this is the 4th part where we're talking about how VR will shape the world. And the topic for today, or one of the topics, is education. And those who are on the couch have the opportunity to speak or pass. And I see we have a guest here, Ron, who we've just skipped. So Ron, I'm going to give you the megaphone, and basically the question is, how do you believe VR will shape the world when it comes to education?
Well, I think one of the easiest things we could do, and we could do it almost immediately, is teach geography and sociology through VR. I don't know if you know Chuck. He's a good friend of mine. He's got a channel. And he's got a hub world with a bus, and you can go to his hub world, and all of the major cities and many major sites to visit are superimposed on a globe, and you can click on one of those sites and you're there. And you can go to New York, you can go to Victoria Falls, you can go to Paris. You can go to the Acropolis in Greece, and if you go as a group, with a guide, the guide could point out, say, sites in New York, talk about them, talk about what happened there, and so on. And then, with further links and other 360 photography, you can get into great detail. I think later on what's going to happen, though, is services will appear where you could connect with a robot or a person wearing a 360 camera who could walk you through, say, the Louvre Museum and tell you about what you're looking at in the Louvre. And because they'll be wearing a 360 camera, you'll be able to look all around and have an experience very much like being there. And because you've got this tour guide with this camera, you're going to get the best possible view of what you're looking at. You'll be able to interact with them and so on.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Ron. I was actually at that bus, and you can type the bus on, if you go to the website, I've actually got to find it, but I went to this bus, and you can actually go to Cape Town it's called the 360 Flying Tour Bus. So if you go onto the website and you go to Worlds, and then you go search, type 360 Hub World Bus, and you'll be able to travel to different parts of the world. And I got to tell you that I was so excited when I saw Greece, and then when I went to that world, I ended up in my own world. So if you are interested in Greece, you can go to the Greek Taverna, which is the portal on the top right at the end of the event. But yes, it's really awesome. Let's move to Beatrix. Welcome and hello, and good to see you again.
Hi. I was thinking that we needed all this last year. I think some classes had VR. I have heard of some schools buying VR headsets for some of their students as a kind of an experiment. But I think that, well, I have lots of nephews and nieces who are all going to school through Skype or whatever the other one is. I can't think of it at the moment. And
Zoom.
yeah, Zoom. And they almost universally hated it. And I think that this would bring back a certain level of interaction and would take out some of the boredom. And it's just too bad that we didn't have this. We weren't further along in this when this pandemic started, but maybe we'll be in place the next one. Or in case this one doesn't ever really go away. It's hard to say.
All right. Thank you. Let's move to Billy Bob.
Billy Bob, hi.
Hi, thank you. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah, I just I'm sort of quite new to the virtual reality and the Oculus and that sort of thing. I downloaded an app from the Anne Frank Museum, and I was sort of exploring around that. It's a free app you can get on the Oculus store, and you literally get to go to the house where Anne Frank and her family were hiding out, and you walk around and you can touch things, and you can hear some extracts from the diary, and you really feel like, you know, you're in this room, and it's a small room, and you sort of feel like you're there. And that's an experience that, apart from going to the location, you can't really get anywhere else. So I think that's really interesting how that can happen. And I also love the idea that if I am a student in a lecture, that I can have some control over my environment. You know, if I decide I want to press a button and suddenly I just have the lecturer at the front, and maybe I'm just on my own in the classroom, if that's how I like to operate, or I can press another button and I've got all the people in the hall and I can see what's going on, and giving people that level of control over their own experience, I think, is really interesting.
That is very interesting, because it also helps cater to your personality needs as well, instead of just conformity to the general norms of society. Excellent. I love that. Thank you, Billy Bob. Let's go to Isaac. Isaac, you have the opportunity to speak or pass. Normally the still ones are the ones that... Oh, there we go. So, let's see. We got a lot of pages to go through. Isaac, megaphone is yours. Feel free to speak or pass. No. Okay. Let's go to No Soup for You.
So can you guys hear me, or?
Absolutely.
Yes, we can. Hi.
Yeah, cool. So, well, I'm a bit like Billy Bob. I'm fairly new to this whole thing. Only bought it a couple of weeks ago, and I'm fairly new to Altspace. But one thing I did notice, and I was wondering if anyone knows anything about it, since we're talking about education, I noticed just today there's a thing called Engage. Does anyone know anything about that? Because I haven't actually signed up yet, but is that any good? Because that's apparently all of the whole thing is about education. The whole, I mean, this is a lot more sort of like group chats and things like that by the looks of it. But has anyone heard of Engage? Like
we'll hear what Scar has to say. Thanks, No Soup for You.
No worries, mate.
Let's just go to...
Hello.
Hi, Scar. We'll go to you now, Juno. Jono. Scar, are you there?
I am. I thought we were going to Jono. Or is Johnny after me?
First, we'll go to you first. Let's just answer
All right, okay.
No Soup for You's question.
Oh, okay. So Engage... I think the best thing about Engage is it's not like a group chat. So here, for example, you can go to one of Ron's events or this event and anyone can come. Engage is locked for parties, you know, for like if you wanted like a school cohort or a team meeting, so people can't pop in there. Like, you know, like the troll issues we've had these days, like none of that's going to happen in Engage. But I guess it would be similar to this experience if it was a private group, but yeah, I wouldn't say there's anything special or unique about it in comparison, but like, so it's kind of similar to spatial as well. Spatial's pretty much the same thing. You can have like a whiteboard, you can all write on it and stuff. I guess it depends what you want to do.
Thanks, Scott.
That's it, really.
Would you like to answer the question with regards to how VR will shape the world with education? And then we'll go to Jono. Sorry. We will sort that out now. Aha.
Hello, I'm back.
Yes.
Haha. Okay, so I guess my perspective is a bit different as I am a student. So firstly, I'm super excited for VR, as I think someone already said, it's being trialed in different universities and schools. Because it's such an immersive experience, you know, and especially for tactile or like kinetic learners, it's, you know, it's very hard to get young people to engage with a book. But if you can put them in a virtual classroom so they can really be in that experience, I think it would be completely game changing. I also personally use it in my personally for my education needs. So I don't know if everyone's familiar with mind palaces. I remember reading books and trying to get my head around it, and I couldn't do it. And now I'm like, wow, I have VR. I can literally build a mind palace for my own revision needs. It's amazing. The only thing I don't think is so good about possibly the future of VR in education is something I'm already noticing, because I use it so much. I just have so much screen fatigue, and you know that no amount of leaving it in night mode is fixing it, you know, so I'm always in the screen in VR or on my phone or on my laptop doing work. So I do worry what that's going to do for the mental health of people. So if they're going to have to change the setup, because like I said, it's amazing. I'm so excited for the possibilities, but there are some drawbacks that definitely need to be looked at.
Awesome. Thank you, Scar. With regards to Engage, first of all, no soup for you and Scar, is that I think it's also very similar to Verbella. And Verbella is also a virtual reality app, but it's also done on the computer. I was in Engage the other day, actually, and it's more, let's call it more professional based, in terms of there's certain meetings that you're invited to and you will attend certain meetings. So the reason why you go to Engage is not to enjoy worlds, but rather to focus on the events that's being taken place. And also they have monetized a lot with Engage. So they're moving ahead towards businesses and opportunities for what event did I attend the other day? I think it was on jazz. It was about jazz. And then basically there's just 101 events on how virtual reality is changing the world as we know it. But what's interesting are the type of options that you're allowed to do. So when you go to Engage, for example, you can sit down at a chair. You can zoom in with a screen. You know, here in Altspace, you can't zoom in. And when you're doing a presentation, you don't want to keep having to move forward, back and forward. You want the screen in front of you. You also want to have, you know, maybe the person's face. So you're doing full-on webinars, you're doing interviews. So it is definitely more professional. But I definitely think that Altspace does have the opportunity to have those type of features. All right, now let's go to the one we've been all been waiting for. Jono. Oh dear, your sound isn't great, Jono. Just re-enter the space and we will get right back to you. The anticipation is killing me. And to those who haven't spoken, feel free to raise your hands. And we would like to hear your thoughts on what you think, how VR will shape the world when it comes to education. And we have...
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Kirsten, yes. Hi.
Yes. All right. I was actually just thinking about the same things that Scar just mentioned, just the screen fatigue. I think
the generation that's growing up right now is already like kind of growing into having a lot of more screen time than we ever had as kids. So I wonder if there's actually some kind of genetic modification happening through generations if they have a lot of screen time. I know me as a student, I liked going to lectures more than having to watch a film online or something like that, because it felt more interactive, and it didn't fatigue me as much as, for example, a Zoom meeting does right now. Also, with the VR, I think it's kind of the same effect. If I play or I attend a meeting with the VR device, I get really tired after a few hours, and I think the same thing happens with students. But if VR really is the future in terms of following lectures and stuff, I think the experience could be and has to become even more immersive in terms of having a notepad and being able to write down notes or stuff like that. Because, I mean, I don't know about anyone who's studied, but when I went into lectures, I'd take notes all the time and I'd scribble to absorb the information. And the whole point is to have the full immersive, experience. So you can't just be listening and you can't just be watching. You also have to be able to take notes and process the information the way you want to.
Perfect. Thank you, Kristen. I think it's a big adjustment as well with virtual reality. Luckily, the headsets you can't really wear it for too many hours because either it overheats or you need to recharge it. But we don't really know the effects on virtual reality and health, because, for example, the eye twitching, apparently there's a study that if you play too many intensive games, you have a chance at detaching your retina when being on virtual reality, for example. So you have to be careful with that. Also with nausea and anxiety, because we are not designed to be moving while staying still. The brain evolutionary picks it up as there is a poison or there is a deterrent inside you and it needs to kill it off, and that's why you feel sick. So, I mean, these are early questions, but I think we will know in the near future. Hand raisers, we go to Ace.
Yes, Ace here. Yes, I'd like to say that VR has definitely been a huge influence on my life. I've been using it since the early days, back when they had the little, actually, we talk about back when they had the cardboard things, the fake virtual reality. Everybody remembers those.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a little, remember the little, you put the pictures in, those little Mickey Mouse things from Disneyland, you did little pictures. I guess that's kind of an early VR thing back in the day. Yeah. Not quite VR, but anyways, I been utilizing this, especially on Altspace. I've been, using it in a positive way, creating my events. I've started this open mic for mental health awareness and support. I do my late night open mics, and I also do a philosopher's lounge on here too. And I'll tell you what, I've seen a movement. I've seen people come and they say, hey, like, nobody's done this yet, and you're doing this. And then more and more people come in and message me and say, this is really good what you're doing. And I'm hoping that in some way, with the VR and how it's shaping the world today, that it will create a movement on Outspace and maybe VR in general to reduce the drama and to increase the positive energy, which that's my name in here, that's going on, and the awareness of what's really happening, especially during this COVID thing. A lot of people are experiencing symptoms and experiencing depression, anxiety, and things they never even knew. So, yeah, it's really changing the world, and it's like we could be here. I'm connecting with people all over the world like I did back with the WhatsApp. I call people on their, Skype and all that stuff. But on here, it feels like you could be face to face with somebody, even though they're an avatar, but you feel like you're there with them. You hear them, you almost could, like, they say, kiss your soul, you can feel their soul there. So it's really something amazing. And yeah, I'd love to see this hand tracking thing really kick off. That's going to be amazing. And start using, they got the shoes now and everything like that. So it's amazing. I just wanted to share that with everybody today.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. Ace, I just wanted to say...
Thank you for your positivity.
I wanted to say is that we have a group on Facebook called VR Digital Citizens. Please can you post whenever you have your events so that some members will be attracted to them, because I've never heard of these philosophy events and I would definitely go there. I'm hoping our times won't clash too much, because like I'm here with GMT +2 and you're Ali, I need help.
EST.
EST.
Depending on what the time zone is.
Yeah, I think so. So, but please send through your event promotions, and then we'll most likely, I know like 5 of us in this room alone will be there, just because we do enjoy these type of events. And then yeah, feel free to join all of our other events: the social dilemma, the moral dilemma, Greek mythology, awakened awareness with Ali, which you probably will be able to resonate a lot, also about mindfulness and positivity. And yeah. All right. Ali, I want to hear your thoughts before we move to the next person.
My only concern is regarding the senses. If VR can cover all the senses and make it as live as possible, then it's great. And I'm sure we're on the way there as well. It's definitely so much more interesting and so much more better than Zoom, because it's Zoom and Skype is 2-dimensional, whereas VR is 3-dimensional, and I'm sure the kids will definitely be more engaged if education would branch out into VR. But it still has a long way to go as well. And of course, taking into considerations that all the problems may arise with attention span, eyes, and all the problems mentioned earlier.
I mean, I think we got to ask the question: is it better for us to get in early and grow with the problems, the bugs, the glitches, and evolve with VR, rather than to just wake up and boom, we're exposed to this overwhelming immersive world with no kinks, we look lifelike? And you know, like, those are the questions that we ask, because I mean, I've been on VR for about 2.5 years. And I've seen tremendous changes. And, you know, if you think about it, it's imperceptible, because they change where you don't feel like a lot has changed. But over the last 6 months, it has been just exponential, the way they commercialize the changes that are taking place. And we get so excited as world builders and event runners. All right. Let's go to, I haven't forgotten, Jono. Let's try now. Oh, that's not Jono. Gosh, what is going on with me? Ali.
Jono. Just waiting for you to accept megaphone.
Yeah.
There are 2 names similar, don't worry.
Better.
Hi there. Can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, we can hear you perfectly.
Woohoo.
Welcome.
Yeah, I think it's going to have a lot of applications within the workspace for education. Myself, I'm a forklift instructor, and if I could start off in a VR sort of situation, it gives us a safe space to work in. First aid, things like that. You can put such real scenarios together now. It's going to be amazing.
Excellent. Thank you, Jono.
Thank you.
All right. Ali, can I go first before we go to hand raisers?
Yes, sure.
I don't even know if we're going to have time for a second topic for today. Education is just so exciting, and maybe people have questions, whether you have it for Scar, or you have it for Z, or if you have it for Ron. Let us know. Raise those hands. Here are my thoughts with education in VR, and that is, let's cut out the idea that boring education might be a thing of the past. How awesome is that for the new generation? I mean, it's an exciting development in many ways. So as you mentioned, online lectures, to have lectures in a simulated environment to help improve memory retention, as I mentioned earlier. For example, virtual tours, not only in laboratories and classrooms, but inside a body cell, inside an electronic chip, inside a black hole. I mean, these are incredible opportunities for you to use all of your senses in things that we will never get to enjoy in the real world anyway. Overseas courses. So now this is where I'm thinking more broadly. Imagine having a Monday lecture in Harvard and then going to a lecture in Cambridge, a Wednesday lecture in Cambridge. So VR may also open to online courses throughout the world and with different universities, so that you don't need to, one, cough up a lot of money, and two, travel and stay in one country just to go to university. Why not broaden our horizons and, pick up many different ways to study? Excursions, as we mentioned, the 360-degree bus, to be able to visit and online different museums, galleries, attractions, laboratories from all around the world. And then obviously 360-degree tours where we can learn the culture, languages, arts, traditions, history. And then what about meetups? Where teachers and lecturers can also meet up and discuss new trends, for example, new updates. What about new syllabuses? Why not change the world of the 100-year-old education and create something brand new and just so exciting? And VR is just so underrated right now, and there's only one reason: because it's not commercialized as much as it needs to be. So yeah, those are my thoughts with VR and education. Cool. Let's go to...
Also, you can bridge out into different departments. For example, children, now they go to school and they have a set syllabus. They can start learning from an early age of learning things that they actually like, enjoying where they want to progress in life, instead of just having one set syllabus for everybody.
Exactly. Cater to your personality and traits and who you are as a person. As I mentioned before, do you want to be in a room with a lot of people? Do you want to be in a room by yourself? These are personality questions we got to ask. Let's go to Replay J.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. Hey, I just wanted to say, part of the discussion, everybody's talking about the larger picture with VR, but last night I saw the real power of VR that I really hadn't thought of before. And actually, that guy Ace that was in the room here, it was his event last night, and that was the first time I actually went to a room, and it was a mental health and awareness event. And just seeing how people were able to kind of take their time and go up and tell their story, and knowing that if they felt uncomfortable, they can take the Quest or whatever they were wearing off and just be where they were and be safe. You can tell that the people who were talking were really comfortable about that environment, and that's really the future of VR to me. I mean, that's, it's not accessible to everybody yet, but if somebody had that option to put these things on and just to speak and then be able to take it off and feel better about themselves and not worry about the faces that they're going to have to see when they say whatever they're going to say, because they feel guilty when they see the person's face in front of them, thinking that maybe they're, there wasn't the right decision for them, or they see the question in the other person's face, and it's still hard to come across and say something. So last night, in talking about education, I feel like, that was a big part of the reason why I came here today was last night, because now I'm starting to discover all the different ways that people can communicate through VR, and I'm kind of new to it. So, everybody's probably aware of all this stuff, but I'm just kind of catching on to it, and I'm glad I caught on to that yesterday, and I'm glad that dude's here, man. You had the thing yesterday, man. I was like, that was a cool event, and I heard you talk about it now, and I was like, wait a minute, he's here in this room. I'm like, that's cool. It was like 100 people there or something like that. So, this is cool. I'm glad you guys are doing this. I'm going to come to more events like this. I like what you guys are doing, so thank you for the time.
Thanks, Replay J.
Thank you for being here.
And you'll find that every event that you go to in Altspace, well, let me take that back. Every well-organized, thought-out, and professional event that you come to Altspace VR, you'll see that it has its own personality. So we're never actually copying a form of an event. We're basing it on our own personalities, which is just excellent, because then you can choose which type of events to go to. But thanks for your thoughts. And Positivity Ace, raise that hand so you can tell us more about your event as well. Let's go to HN
and
Game.
what time it is.
Yes, what time it is. Important. HN Gamers.
Hi. So, like, I just thought to say, with this, the whole development of VR and what it's sort of aiming to, like, I am all for it 100%. There's been multiple times where I've generally thought, will this get anywhere, or will this become a big impact? And for the education of what you can do, as you said earlier, being in a simulated environment, able to like learn different things, which could literally be anything, to like science, animals, or just like the fun stuff, just being able to hang out with new people or friends that you know. I'm all for it. For a person that is heavily loving this and only got this around like December, I think this is going to be a really helpful thing for introverts especially, and for people that maybe don't feel as confident being in person in like real events like this. Because as Replay J said over there, like, if you felt uncomfortable with any certain event or like what was happening, you could just take your headset off and you'll be wherever you are, like using your headset. And I think that's incredible, considering with like all the games, all the education stuff and events like this. Like, as well as Jay, like yesterday was my first time like coming on here, and I'm gonna say like I'm heavily impressed by this, and I just think it's gonna be such a great help towards like younger people and adults alike.
Awesome, thank you. I guess, yeah, the thing is, if you have something to now, so let's say you're an introvert, right? I'm an introvert, but I also used to do events in front of hundreds and thousands of people, but I'm still an introvert. The side of me that does events is basically the acting side of things. Me at a supermarket is avoiding people, right? And you do get that, same with actors, and you'll get that. But in VR, you can also be yourself. You can wear what you want. You're not, there is no invasiveness, you know, in terms of looking at somebody's facial expressions and judging as, you know, do you have, how's your hair, how do you look, etc. You can just use your voice. You can just use your voice, and your confidence will exude if you feel passionate with what you're talking about, right? I mean, listen, HN Gamers, you can definitely use your voice. Your voice is electric, and I tell you, a lot of people wish they had your voice. Baby, lock them doors and turn your lights down low. Use that voice of yours. Ali, do you like that?
Honestly, like,
It's all about the bass.
like, I'm just excited, like, seriously, for like everything to come. Like, in the next 10 years, I am especially excited to see where this ends up, like, seriously.
And stay excited to learn the evolution of it. You know, the end result is cool, but the process and the journey is just so much more exciting. Thank you, HN Games. Very welcome, and hope you join our other events. Let's go to Scar.
Hello again. So much to say. First of all, back to what you said earlier. I don't think it will be the end of like boring education, because it doesn't matter how immersive it is. If you put me in any kind of maths lesson, I'm gonna be bored. I don't care if it's in 3D or not. And I know professors and my peers in STEM will call me blasphemous, but I just like, I do it because I have to, not because I like to. And then going with what Jono said, I think the health and safety aspect will be really great. So for example, in what I'm learning, it's like going from a textbook to a cadaver is insane. Like, you know, a picture of an organ to an actual organ is like, oh my god. But if you could just put me in an environment with a virtual organ, you know, like I would feel safe, everyone else would feel safe. That would be great. And then also I just wanted to touch on the accessibility. So at the moment, not everyone can afford a VR headset. So, it's a luxury that few of us can afford right now. And I hope as time progresses, it will become more affordable. But I wonder if that will also affect the cost of education. So will the burden of the technology be on the education provider, or will it be on the student? For example, say if all my lessons were in VR now and my headset were to break, is my university going to send me a new one, or do I have to buy a new one? Because I definitely couldn't afford that in a pandemic. And what else was I going to say? And also just like the social aspect, being able to take it off and put it on. I don't know about anybody else, but when I go into spaces that I'm not quite sure about, so here we know, everyone's here for, a specific event, a specific reason. But for example, when I go to the campfire, I can actually get quite anxious still, because I don't really know who's in that space, what that space is about, who I'm going to be approached by. It's not so much now, I'm kind of used to it, but also as we're looking at just these cartoon faces, so I could be putting on a happy voice to you, but I could be rolling my eyes and being like, oh, like I don't want to be here. So I wonder how will that be worked around in the future? Because that's why I do like Zoom with my professors, because I can look at them and I know if I'm saying something stupid because I can see it on their face. But yeah, that's all I had to say.
All right.
VR has got a long way to progress to get to that level.
Let me try to take 3 of your questions, but you might need to remind me. And first thing is, I don't have any. I mean, I've got a economics degree or whatever, but I've got nothing in education itself. This is just my thoughts, and through the research that I do during these type of events. But the first question is, will VR be a more expensive way for education? To think about it broadly, I would say definitely not. And the reason is because when you are in a VR classroom, the costs drop tremendously. You don't need stands. You don't need actual physical schooling, grounds. You don't need gardeners. You don't need to pay taxes, property. So those costs drop tremendously. And then you're saying, and also teachers might start getting less. And the reason why I think teachers will start getting less is because they won't be bounded to their one job anymore. So the teachers go, they do their 2 or 3 hours a day, and then straight afterwards they can go to another country's school or something, and they can carry on teaching maths or English or whatever it is. So they can actually have 3 or 4 different jobs, pay a little bit less, and end up having 3 times more than what they normally do without leaving their homes. No petrol, no other costs. So I think that VR is a lot more better. In terms of if your VR machine breaks, I would assume that there would be a lot of different services. So the services is you can choose to buy your own VR and then you can get it fixed with your 2-year warranty. Or maybe they'll extend it to 4 or 5 years depending on your education. Or for those who can't really afford it, they've got 2 things they can do. They can rent the VR headsets from the schools so that they're paying a lot less per month, and then the schools have the warranties and have the insurance to fix the VR headsets for when they break. And the third thing is that what is wrong with having VR like I'm on a computer, right? I'm learning just as much as you are. I can write down notes. I might be a little bit more distracted, right? Pray tell, but the thing is, I still have the content, and the content is what is the most important thing. And when your VR headset gets fixed, then you can wear it again, or you can choose to be on a computer, because not everybody is going to be able to adapt to VR. Like I was saying, they might get a lot of nausea. They might have problems with their neck or their back. So these are things that we have to discuss in greater detail. We are coming to 3 minutes to the end, but I am going to extend another 15 minutes just so we can extend the discussion. I think it's important, so don't drop your hands. Let's go to Ron. Ron, hi.
Hi. One of the things I think that has to happen is that we have to rethink education altogether in terms of the technology that we have available to us. And I'll give you a prime example. When I went to college, and I imagine it's still going on, a textbook could cost as much as, $50. But today, all of the information in a textbook that's printed is out of date because everything is moving ahead much faster than the ability to write and print textbooks. Now, if I was teaching a course in, say, microbiology, what I could do instead of saying, get this textbook that's going to cost you $75, I could say, here's a list of URLs you should go to that are up to date, that are written by, where the information is current, it's written by the best people on earth, and it won't cost you anything. So instead of paying that $75 for a textbook, you get all this free information off the internet. Okay, why does that not happen? Because professors make money off of writing textbooks, for one thing, and I'm not sure what the other reasons might be. But if you extend that out to what we can do right now with virtual reality and so on, why should I not go to the best teacher on earth for microbiology and can do his class along with 1,000 other people instead of going to a college that might have a 10th rate microbiology teacher and paying $40,000 for the privilege where I could do it online for maybe $200. And I think that's the way we have to go. But until that somebody comes up with an accredited college that works that way, it's not going to happen. So, Tim, why don't you start that school? We'll all sign up for it, and things will improve dramatically.
If I started a school, I would simply do one thing, and that would be I would be the Uber of education. So the teachers can come to me. I will give them the platform and the channels to branch out and connect to their students. And it would just be building not just one school. That's one thing that I really don't like, is that why choose which school you want to go to in one place? Why don't you go to one place and be able to choose your education throughout different sources? You know what I'm saying, Ali?
Yes, definitely.
So if I go to Harvard, why can't I also go to Cambridge? Why can't I do guitar lessons? Why can't I do Greek lessons? And all the lessons, I just go to one place to find what suits me best in terms of my personality, the teachers that I want. Because the thing is, you might not do well in class because you can't relate to the way the teachers are teaching you, and it's all down to personalities. And then you feel like you're stupid because everybody's getting A's and the top of the class, but you're not. And it might not have anything to do with you. It's got to do with the way the teacher's approaching the lessons. Okay, let's go to Kirsten.
Or the way you learn, because everybody learns in different ways according to their senses. Some people are visual, some people are auditory, and it all depends on the way they learn. Some teachers just stick to one specific method, which is why a lot of the students tend to fail as well. Something to be taken into consideration.
Exactly, 100%. All right, Kirsten, you still there?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm here. I was just a few people back, but I was just thinking about what someone just said about feeling safe and being in an environment that would otherwise maybe cause anxiety or insecurity or feeling unsafe. And I think that's interesting because there's also the danger of creating an even smaller world like you just said, you can do this and that with VR without ever leaving your home, which can be a good thing, but it can also be kind of, if you're already a little bit afraid of the outside world or feeling anxious, or me myself, I have PTSD. There are days that I don't want to go outside, but I make myself walk outside and take that breath of fresh air, and I actually feel better. And I think there is a you know, a little bit of a dangerous side to VR in terms of, okay, you never have to leave your house, you never have to leave your comfort zone, and I'm all for comfort, don't get me wrong, but I also think it's, you know, good not to forget it's not the same as going outside. It's not the same as having to ride your bike to work and you know, get some sunshine. Maybe I'm a little bit old-fashioned still, but I feel that's very important to keep moving and keep learning to be in the real world. Yeah.
Yes. I was thinking the
Exactly.
same thing. Also, if life gets to the stage of not having to go out at all and just being in your house, then what's the point of learning guitar lessons or learning about biology or learning about geography
Exactly.
or learning about other things when you've lost touch
Yeah.
with the real world? So it all
Yeah.
depends. But the thing is, we're hopefully talking about VR as a tool during quarantine or difficult situations without losing touch with the real world, because guys, the real world is amazing. We live on a beautiful planet. I don't know how technology will ever get to that level, but hopefully we will get there one at some stage. So yes, and mental health as well. Being behind a screen or behind technology as well, like Tim said earlier, can be very, very dangerous on mental health and on the brain in general, brain's health. But yes, I totally understand you and I relate to that.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kristen. Thank you.
It definitely is
Kristen, sorry.
more of a struggle to leave the house now with COVID. And the funny thing about the brain is that we adapt to any situation. Blind people react to life, adapt to life. Deaf people adapt to life. And now the COVID era, we've adapted to this life where we probably don't even see our parents as much as we would like to. We probably don't even phone them as much as we like them too, because we've found this comfort zone inside these isolated chambers. And we feel safer here because we're vulnerable. We have never felt more vulnerable than we are today. And I think the last time people felt this vulnerable was the Spanish flu that took place, that took over 50 million people. But nobody in our entire, that's alive right now, or anyone over the age of 103, has been through anything like this. So we are in a very vulnerable stage and we're adapting. And if children are brought up in a VR environment and education inside social media, well, that might be their evolution. That might be what they want. And then let them adapt and evolve to how they want to do it. Like we wanted to play in the mud. I never played in the mud because from a young age I thought about bacteria and diseases and children, and my brain was always thinking a little bit ahead, so I never got to enjoy those pleasures. And I'm 33, so I'm not like a youngster. So yeah, we'll see how things evolve. Anyone else want to share their thoughts? Please raise your hand. The Fatima, hello. Oh, not good. You're going to have to re-enter. We're so sorry, Fatima. You know, this has been happening for about 2 months now, and it is so common. Let's try to do this again. Let me just try one more time. I'll give you the megaphone again. Fatima?
Hello?
Oh, it's working.
Hello?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Okay, great. Well, being an educator myself, I think VR it would be useful as, like she said in the blue, I don't remember her name, as a tool. My only concern is the safety of it. If they can find a way to program it only for the students or whatever they're teaching. I work with a lot of inner city kids, low income, at risk families. I've been on here before the holidays, and the one thing that I do enjoy, I travel a lot and abroad, but I know the children who I am teaching do not get to enjoy those experiences. So to be able to have a tool where I can say, hey, let's put on our headsets and visit Greece today, and it's somewhat interactive, to that culture, or, what's going on or what we're studying, I think it would be wonderful. But to take away in-person learning, I wouldn't want that. I hate that we're going through the pandemic and everything, but I wouldn't want that. But I would love to be able to add it as an addition to the educational platform.
Absolutely. I think, remember, VR is what we have available right now. And that's just the way it is. But what we haven't considered is that there's going to be other immersive technologies which will bring us together again in certain locations. So let me give you an example. What's called AR, Augmented Reality, where you'll be able to meet up in Greece with your fellow students, see the Acropolis, feel things, and also be in the room with them at the same time. You'll be able to see you know what augmented reality is? It's where you're seeing the world you're in with an augmented effect to it with the information that you want displayed. So when AR comes into this world or into this sphere, then we will have new options of education, which means that the children and the parents will be able to choose accordingly. Right now we're thinking VR because that's all we have. AR, maybe that will take over VR. We will get to have the best of both worlds. We'll get to see the Acropolis, and there will be information about it, or any type of statue or relic or something, and it'll give you information right in front of your eyes, So yeah, let's go to... Oh, that's it. Well then, that's the end of today's event. How VR will shape the world in education. And I hope you guys had an awesome time. Make sure you join VR Digital Citizens on Facebook group and Oh My Brains page. Join us at the Moral Dilemma tomorrow. The topic is to something about death. Let me see.
After you die.
After you die, yes. So feel free to join the Moral Dilemma tomorrow, the exact same time. Well, an hour before whatever it is now, your time. And we would love to see you there. If you do want to experience the VR Greek world, you can go to the Greek Taverna, which Ali will take you to right now and show you the way. And then you can take a look and favorite the world. But in other words, I have unmuted you. You can stick around as well. Just because I'm going doesn't mean you have to go. So thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you shortly.